Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alistar Valguero, so welcome back to even more Satisfactory. We have a lot to go over today, and I did some little bit of work off camera. It's nothing to the factory or anything like that. No. Exploration is what I was doing. As you can see, through all of my little dismantle crates that I accidentally left behind, and some markers that I left around here, like this guy here, like this guy here, I was hard drive hunting. There was a lot of things that we need to, in order to, we need to get a lot of things, mostly alternate recipes, in order to efficiently go through the next couple of parts in the game. Now, I mentioned in the last video that this is where the game actually gets hard. Most people drop out of the game usually around phase 4. But we are not. We are going to see this game to its completion, and we are going to save the day. Last time, we have unlocked phase 4, and we even got some temporary aluminium setup going, so that way we can unlock the Mark V belts. We have the control system development up and ready to go, to where we have the blender unlocked, and we have the ability to create the assembly director system. But here's the problem with that. The assembly director systems are a pain in the ass to make. Why? They take adaptive control units and supercomputers to make. Our current setup that we have is not made to deal with supercomputers, which sucks. So that means I have to redo all of this again in order for us to be making everything in the game. However, I am not going to do that. There's a reason why. Endgame Satisfactory requires a lot of planning, meticulous micromanagement of your resources. Is it a bit of a chore? Depends how you look at it, because you can make it fun. And I have a plan. It's going to be similar to my previous attempt, and it worked out pretty well. So, we're going to repeat it. And we're going to start with our to-do list. We are going to need a proper fuel power plant, which I have an idea already where I'm going to build it. We need a proper aluminium factory to process all of the aluminium and all of the bauxite in the world. Everything. And finally, we need a solid rubber and plastic plant. These are going to be our 3 primary projects that we are going to be handling before we tackle any of the space elevator parts. The fuel power plant, mostly for the reasoning of power. Our power supply and our effective power is basically non-existent. We have been running on borrowed time for a very long time. And I want to fix that. The aluminium factory is just required because transporting all of the aluminium throughout the world is a good thing to do. And just having it all in a centralized location, so that way you can send trains or drones wherever you need them to go in the world, is just there and it's good to go. And that's the same thing with the rubber and plastic plant. So, I'm starting to figure out what we're going to be doing in terms of the space elevator parts. And I have a plan for 3 of them. The Green Fields biome, which is located right down here on the map. I don't have it much explored, but this is the Green Fields area. It's one of the starting areas for the beginners who are just coming into Satisfactory, and surprisingly used for speedrunners. But we are sacrificing the entire green fields biome to create the nuclear pastas and the magnetic field generators. The desert, where we are right now, this whole factory is going to be dedicated to creating the thermal propulsion rockets. These things suck. I hate building these things. They are one of the worst things to make in this game. I will admit it. Making the thermal propulsion rockets is a chore. I hate these things. But the desert, as you are able to see, has plenty of resources in order to craft them and automate them. And what exactly are we doing with all of these parts? Well, the plan is making 5 nuclear pasta per minute, 10 magnetic field generators, and 5 thermal propulsion rockets per minute. That's how crazy this gets. But first, we are going to be focusing on the biggest problem that we have right now, and that is the fuel power plant. We are going to be transferring a lot of resources, and we are going to be using practically an entire section of a biome in order to make a fuel power plant. So, where do we begin? Everything is going to start right over here in the MAM with all of my alternate recipes that I collected. And there's a lot of them. So, let's get started. There's a couple of recipes right out of the gate that I got on the first scan that we are going to take. Number 1, the molded steel pipes. This is the exact same recipe or similar recipe to the molded steel frames that uses steel and concrete in order to make more steel pipes. So this is a recipe we are 100% going to take. Next recipe, pure aluminum ingots. Instead of using silica in a foundry, that recipe just takes the scrap and you could smelt it in a smelter. The next recipe we are taking is this one right here, Turbo Blend Fuel. This is a blender recipe that I have been looking for ever since I started looking for these freaking hard drives. This is going to be the primary recipe for our fuel power plant. So we are taking that one. The next one, I believe, is this guy. Let me see here. Yes, this guy right here, the radio control system, is a very, very good radio control unit recipe. We're going to take that one. Next up is the Alcalad casing recipe that is done in the assembler. We're taking that one. We're coming down here to the steamed copper sheet recipe. We actually saw this one before, but now we're going to take it. And that leaves us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have 10 chances to get one recipe that I need. And that is going to be a fuel recipe that uses the blenders. So, rescan. Fine concrete and tempered caterium. Okay. Automated miners and steel canisters. Rescan. There it is. There it is. Right there. Diluted fuel. Yes. Oh, yes. We're going to take that immediately. That is the secondary the secondary recipe that we want for our fuel power plant. Now, I do have all of these other recipes in here that I can use. However, I'm not. There is one, actually. The coated iron plates. This is a freaking crazy recipe. And if you overclock this and get it to its maximum potential, that is 187 iron plates per minute for only 90, let's just say 94 iron ingots and 19 plastic. That is crazy numbers. We're taking that recipe. So, leached copper, coated cables, adhered plates, leached iron. These leached recipes are actually kind of crazy, except sulfuric acid is stupidly difficult to make. And because there is so little sulfur in the world, I don't really recommend using it. There might be instances where it is super helpful, just not for me. Let's see. Iron alloy, fused wire. Here's another one. Classic batteries. This is a very good recipe. Instead of using the standard recipe in the blender, which, in my opinion, is a little bloated. Sulfuric acid, aluminium solution, and aluminium casings. Nah. I hate that recipe so much. I always make the classic batteries. So, that's that. We are going to leave these other 6 recipes in here for when we have turbo fuel. Because if we go back over to the sulfur research line, we still have rocket fuel and ionized fuel to make. And yes, I did save 2 hard drives for those recipes. I did not forget. Don't worry. But we need packaged turbo fuel along with, what is that? Canisters? Empty fluid tanks in order to unlock rocket fuel and packaged rocket fuel. I am also fairly certain that there are alternate recipes for them. So I want to save them in order to make a rocket fuel power plant. That'd be cool. And also because turbo fuel and rocket fuel is just so much better than the standard packaged fuel, it's ridiculous. So now it begs the question of where are we going? Where are we going to make this elaborate factory? Well, we essentially have 3 possibilities. There's this one, the Blue Crater Lake, the Coral Coast, and finally, the Coastal Highland region. Now, I've already had experience building in one of these biomes. This is my previous attempt. I don't want to even look over there anymore. This is my previous attempt at recording this series. And this is my fuel power plant that I built over here on the coastal region. It's big, yes, but it works. It's spouting 4 alien augmenters, and dude, I can't even tell you how many fuel generators there are here, but we're making upwards of about 134,000 megawatts. And yeah, it's expandable. That's the biggest thing about this part of the game. It is expandable because I only have it going up to turbo fuel. I could make this into rocket fuel and ionized fuel if I so wished. Is it a pain to make? No, not really, because everything is within the general area. Let's just say it's within the general area. We have sulfur in the area. We have 2 nodes of sulfur actually that I collect over here. And a pretty decent amount of oil. So this biome is a very, very good idea. When you break down each of the biomes, however, their numbers become kind of obvious in terms of oil production per minute. However, in my opinion, the numbers are elusive. Here's the reasoning. You have the coastal region, right? 2,700 oil per minute. And you saw my old power plant. You can go to turbo fuel, which is more than enough to supply you with the power that you need in your world. Okay? Here's the problem, though. If you guys remember from that clip, you saw that big, like, ugly-ass train track that I had. That was the train track that I was using in order to bring sulfur into the coastal region in order to make the turbo fuel. So that was a big problem. It was aesthetically not pleasing to the eye. Even though I was planning on redesigning it, I'm not getting into that. The Highlands would be the next option that you would choose because, oh, it makes more fuel. Well, here's the problem with that. The Highlands also doesn't have resources. Yes, there are other nodes and stuff around the Highlands, as you can see from the radar tower that I have down here. But it's not localized. Everything is across this giant crevasse that separates the highland biome to this biome here. You would have to belt everything or train everything over to this section of the map. Which leaves us with the final option, the Blue Crater Lake. Now, you're probably thinking, well, what does the Blue Crater Lake have that the other regions don't? Resources. Localized resources. That's what it has. So, in that case, I think the only option that we have to build our fuel power plant is going to be the Blue Crater Lake. So that way we can guarantee that our fuel is going to be able to go the distance from fuel to turbo fuel to rocket fuel to ionized fuel. And the rest of the regions, the highlands, and of course the coastal region, will be used, therefore, for other productions, such as rubber, plastic, etc., etc. Because we're going to need them for future projects. All right, first things first, though. We need to unlock this, advanced aluminium production. We need the ability to scan for nitrogen gas, create the empty fluid tanks, package nitrogen gas, the fuse modular frames, cooling system, heat sinks, but most importantly, the resource well pressurizer. There is a oil node that is, I would say, right about here-ish. That needs one of these machines in order for me to pipe that oil all the way over here in order to get the full amount that we need. So, let's get this started. We need a lot of material that I do not have room for. But, luckily, the dimensional storage exists. I have enough of them, I think. Boom, boom. Perfect. Scoop those back up. Actually, no, we're not going to scoop those back up. Because we need a crap ton of wire. However, another thing that we do need is going to be 50 radio control units. Which I know for a fact I don't have, because we don't have them automated. So, what we're going to do... Oh, well, we're going to go pick up some modular frames, apparently. Boop. We're just going to set down a temporary manufacturer. Words. And, yeah, we're going to set this up to make some radio control units. We only need 50 of them, which isn't going to be that big of a problem. But it's going to take a while. But what's a better way to get more than to double it? Some temporary power sharding with some temporary construction? Yes, I think so. I'll explain what that is in a minute. But, let's see. Crystal oscillators. Okay. You know what? Let me just change the recipe real quick here. Boost that up. And then we can go to this. Well, it's not going to immediately go through, but whatever. Alright, let's go get some more circuit boards and some more rubber. There we go. Now it's cooking. I love the animation for the bonus output. It's so cool. Then, of course, we're going to need some more casings. Alright. We're going to have to leave this up as well to make some extra radio control units, because I'm pretty sure the pressurizers need these things in order to actually be made. So, give me 1 second. And here we go.
Milestone reached. The resource well pressurizer and extractor can harvest nitrogen, crude oil, and water from underground wells. Nitrogen, being a gas, does not need pumps for pipeline transportation. Fixit does not process most of your metrics, but I do. According to Fixit predictions, you are exploiting this planet with unexpected efficiency. They did always struggle to see the true potential of things. Nothing about you is unexpected to me, and therefore you are performing exactly as expected.
Every single time I hear Ada talk about my performance and everything, it always feels like I'm getting gaslit by somebody. Which I probably am. She's a robot, though, so I don't really care. Anyway, so yeah. Looks like we need 10 of these bad boys, along with 50 motors and 25 heavy modular frames. Oh boy, these are expensive. Not to mention all of the casings and the steel beams needed for the actual well extractors, which, oh yeah, we definitely really need. Okay, so yeah, now you can actually see where all of these things are. That's really good. This is the oil node that I was talking about. There are several impure nodes, and they're actually all impure, but that's still 450 oil that we can take, which we are. We also have a pure water node right there, which is awesome. Some impure and normal nodes here. A solid pure nitrogen gas node right here, as well as another nitrogen gas node with 4 pures and 2 normal. Oh boy! That is huge. Huge, huge, huge. Okay. So now that we have that, I only need just a couple more casings to make a couple more of these. It doesn't hurt to have them. But after these 6 are made, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. Alright. Donezoed. Oh, and my... There we go. So yeah, we moved on to the Mark III power poles. You guys may have seen in a previous clip, but I've been completing a couple of the research things just to get them out of the way. And I also built a hypertube cannon. Yeah, these things are super fun. I've been getting sick and tired of walking all over the place. So, yeah, we just have a cannon now that'll shoot us across the freaking map. And that's okay. So pretty much, what I'm going to do is I already brought over, you can actually see it like zigzagging through the mountains there. I brought over a platform that is connecting the Blue Crater Lake to this oil well right here. And I gotta quickly get a resource node down and then deal with all the pipes in order to get this all the way over there. Not to mention all of the other resources that are on the way, like all this iron, the coal, the sulfur, this pure Caterium node right here is also going to be coming with us. Because, yeah, I ain't turning that down. That's some free stuff. Must be placed on an activated fracking satellite node. Wait, I have to... I hate the fact... I absolutely hate the fact that you have to power these things just to extract the goddamn resources. Or just to set up the resources, for that matter. Not even to extract them. It's so dumb. But yeah, see? 450 per minute. Alright. Let's get all these hooked up. And then get out of here because I don't want to deal with all these pigs. Cool. So that is everything. Everything is good to go. So each of these are going to have, I believe, 75 oil per minute in them. So we have 75 times, how many of them are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 450. Every single one of these is going to be condensed down into a tier 2 pipe. Which kinda sad, not gonna lie. So I'm gonna get this back over to the Blue Crater Lake, and then I'll be back. Alrighty, there we go. We have everything piped in, all 3,000 oil per minute comes out right here. So yeah, that 450 line that came in from the swamp, there was actually another 150, there was an impure node that I was able to hook it up to and make it a 600 line. So that worked out great. And we have 5 lines, or 6 lines, my apologies. 1, 2, 3. What? No, 5 lines. Yeah, 5 lines of 5. 5 lines of 600 to make the 3,000 oil per minute. Oh boy, I've been up for a little bit too long. But yeah, now that pretty much just leaves building the factory itself, building the power plant itself. I don't know what kind of design I want to go for this thing. So I think I'm going to go with something kind of like this. Have the two sides jut out as far as I can make them go. And then have this big, like, centralized center part where... I don't know what I'll do with it. I'll probably set it up to where I have all my my augmenters here, and then have like a nice little design to highlight the waterfall here. I have no idea where I'm going to put all of the fuel generators, because there's going to be a lot of them. But that's a future me problem, and that guy hates me. All right, so thank you guys very much for watching. But yeah, next episode we are going to continue and actually begin the construction of our fuel power plant here in the Blue Crater Lake. So make sure to stand by. Thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe if you guys want to see some more Satisfactory. Follow me on the rest of my socials over on X, on Twitch. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.